morning. My name is Ocean Faye. My pronouns are he and his. I'm in 8th grade and I love the world of art and literature. Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of San Antonio. I have been a member of the church for roughly 2 years. We continue to connect virtually in a weekly worship with the intention to be together and to receive information and inspiration. At our church, we believe and act in a universal love that binds us in a mutual care and affection, especially in our work for justice and all for our planet. Our faith is all-inclusive, and all means all. If you are new to us or visiting for the first time today, we welcome you to sign in on the chat stream. We'd like to get to know you and follow up with you. Wherever you are in your life's journey, we hope to find your place with us.
For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God.
We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. We are daughters of dust and the sons of great visions.
We're sisters of mercy and brothers of love. We are lovers of life and the builders of nations.
We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith.
We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayer, and we are the grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are.
Hi, we're the Villela family. We've been attending this church for 5 years. I'm Cassie.
I'm Amaya. I'm Roman.
And I'm Gilberto.
We like gardening and raising chickens,
Dungeons and Dragons, video games,
and building things.
As we kindle this flame, may we be open to the Spirit within us and amidst us that inspires us to a deeper, fuller, richer, more abundant experience of life. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Gina Elizabeth del Castillo. My pronouns are she and her. I have been a member of First Unitarian Universalist Church of San Antonio for the past 8 years. Hola, mi nombre es Gina Elizabeth del Castillo. Mi pronombre es ella. He sido una miembro de esta iglesia, First Unitarian Universalist Church of San Antonio, por los últimos 8 años. El amor es la doctrina de esta iglesia. La misión en encontrar la verdad es su sacramento, dado en servicio en forma de oración, vivir juntos en paz, buscar el conocimiento en la libertad, servir la humanidad, con el fin de que todas las almas crezcan en armonía con lo divino. Así hacemos convenio entre nosotros.
Hello everyone, my name is Barbie, and I'm a trans non-binary queer person, and my pronouns are they, them, ella. I am so honored to be here at the first Transgender Awareness and Affirmation service at the First Unitarian Universalist Church of San Antonio. I hope this is the first of many Trans Awareness and Affirmation services at this congregation. Transgender Day of Remembrance is observed on November 20th to memorialize, remember, and honor those who have been murdered as a result of transphobia. It is a day to draw attention to the continued violence endured by transgender folks like myself. I first want to thank River and Bree for advocating to make this service happen. River and Bree, thank you so much for making space to educate your congregation to be welcoming and validating and accepting of the transgender members of our community. It is important to center the conversation on trans folks who are the most marginalized and face violence at disproportionate rates, and that's Black trans women. It is also important to know and recognize that we are all complicit in one way or another of the violence that ends in the murder of trans people, especially trans people of color. Anti-Blackness, racism, gender, and class are all connected to transphobic violence. The narrative around trans violence often focuses on celebrating and remembering trans people who have been murdered. And don't get me wrong, it is absolutely necessary to remember and honor our trans siblings who have died due to transphobia, but it's equally as important to be celebrated while we are still here, while we are alive. My mom always tells me, when I die, don't take me flowers to the cemetery. I'm not gonna know they're there. Bring me flowers when I'm alive, when I can enjoy them. And that's what I want to tell you. Don't cry for us and take us flowers when we have passed and be a spectator to our pain and violence against us. Celebrate us and be an ally and accomplice to us here, now, when we are alive. Transgender people should be treated with the same dignity and respect as anyone else. We want to be able to live and be respected and thrive as our authentic selves, according to our gender identity. We face serious discrimination and mistreatment in all aspects of our lives, at work, at school, in our families, in our community, and in this society. We are more likely to be fired or denied for a job, to face harassment and bullying in school, to be homeless and live in extreme poverty, for the sole fact of being ourselves. We deserve to live and thrive without fear of discrimination and persecution for being who we are. We are fighting, we are resisting, and it's going to take all of us, every single one of us, to continue fighting and advocating for our rights. It is no longer acceptable for you to be complacent and stand by while we're being murdered. We are fighting for our lives. Don't be a bystander. Don't be complicit to the violence that we face every single day. Do your part to support laws and politics that ensure that transgender and gender nonconforming people of all races, all ages, all classes are treated fairly, with dignity and respect. We deserve a world in which everyone is free to be who they are and live happy, fulfilling lives. We stand in solidarity with trans Black women, Latinx trans women, and all trans and non-binary folks. We stand in solidarity and support for our trans siblings currently incarcerated and in immigrant detention centers. Let's continue fighting and advocating to abolish ICE and prisons. You may be wondering, well, I'm just a regular person. What can I do? How can I support the trans people in my community? Here's how you can start. Accept and validate our identity. It is not up to you to decide what our gender identity is. If you don't know what pronouns to use, a simple, "What are your pronouns?" goes a very long way. Respect the terms that we use to describe our identity. Don't be a bystander. If you witness violence against a trans person, intervene. Speak up. Say something. Do something. Don't be complicit to the violence we face every single day. If someone says something transphobic, makes a transphobic joke, speak up. Educate. Challenge those remarks. Hire us. and pay us a living wage. If you have the means, if you have the capability, do it. Support us. There's lots of amazing, very talented and capable trans individuals out there who need jobs to survive. Need music for an event? Hire a trans musician. Need a logo for your company or organization? Hire a trans artist. Make it a point. Be specific. Look for us. Hire us. We are out there. Open your wallet. Open your purse. Donate to organizations that work and advocate for trans rights, like the Transgender Education Network of Texas, the Trans Law Center. There's lots of them out there. Pass the mic. If you have a platform, make space for us. Do not speak for us. You don't have our lived experiences. Pass the mic so we can speak for ourselves. Follow our lead and advocate alongside us. Listen and learn from us. Educate yourself. Read books, watch films, YouTube channels, blogs, etc. to learn about the issues that we face and how to support us. Those are just a few ways that you can start doing today to support us. Today, we will focus on celebrating, validating, and affirming the transgender community. You will hear stories, testimony, and lived experiences from transgender community members. And in the spirit of passing the mic, I am sharing my time with transgender folks in our community to share their stories and lived experiences with us. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
It's time to share our joys and sorrows. I invite us to be intentional as we reflect and share together. Let's co-create the energy and clarity for healing and supporting each other to build that to which we aspire. For ours is a welcoming community where we find connection, a spiritual community where we come fully alive. Ours is a sharing community where our joys are amplified, a caring community where our sorrows are heard and held in compassion. Through this weekly rite of sharing, may we listen more deeply and grow more involved and connected with each other. Let us join in silent meditation as we write our joys and sorrows on the chat stream, and Jaime plays our meditation music. Let's make room in our bodies by taking a deep, cleansing breath and exhaling. For all our joys, sorrows, and concerns, may we actually feel empathy and compassion. And for all that is unspoken, may we listen more deeply and offer a space of deep kindness, loving, and just action. Change can shake the foundations of any social institution, thereby disturbing the lives of those involved in that institution. Our country is no exception. Unitarian Universalism is certainly no exception. As a welcoming congregation, we extol the values of radical hospitality that reaches out and actively cares for and about everyone. And we are indeed blessed to have transgender persons, their families, and allies in our church, where they are a vital part of this spiritual home. The premises on which our UU faith was founded make it the quintessential expression of religious freedom in these United States. We, the people, right here at First UU, includes all of us, and we are all committed to seeking and finding meaning and purpose here. Our commitment requires us to acknowledge our own journeys, complete with our joys and sorrows, as well as those joys and sorrows of many more considering joining our congregation. Today's worship service is a first for us, and I remind us that worship means the consideration of matters of worth. I trust we will each find worth and meaning through our celebration of trans awareness and affirmation. Amen. It's time for our invitation to generosity. The offering that we take each Sunday isn't just a habit. It's an opportunity to recommit to this place and to this people. Our offering is an affirmation, a yes. When we give, we say yes to the things we value. At our May 2020 First UU congregational meeting, the congregation voted overwhelmingly to include our facilities team as a recipient of the Share the Plate for the month of November. The facilities team includes our green team, the grounds committee, and the maintenance and repair committee. The funds collected today through Share the Plate contributions will be dedicated to adding a covered picnic area to our playground. This will cost approximately $5,600. These pictures provide a conceptual look at what we could have for our families and our church community. Thank you for your generosity in support of our campus playground and facilities team. The link to the online giving portal is shown in the chat stream. You may also send checks to the church office. For quite a few years, I've been participating in the annual Transgender Day of Remembrance, which we will now recreate for 2020 during our offertory anthem, sung by our own River Fae, who also prepared the slides you will see of transgender persons whose lives we memorialize.
No sé qué tienen las flores, llorona, las flores del campo santo. No sé qué tienen las flores, llorona, las flores del campo santo, que cuando las mueve el viento, llorona, parece que están llorando. Que cuando las mueve el viento, llorona, parece que están llorando. Ay, de mi llorona, llorona, tú eres mi yunca. Ay, de mi llorona, llorona, tú eres mi yunca. Me quitarán de querer quererte, llorona, pero de olvidarte nunca. Me quitarán de quererte, llorona, pero de olvidarte nunca. A un santo Cristo de fierro, llorona, mis penas le conté yo. A un santo Cristo de fierro, llorona, mis penas le conté yo. ¿Cuáles no serían mis penas, llorona, que el santo Cristo lloró? ¿Cuáles no serían mis penas, llorona, que el santo Cristo lloró? Ay de mí, llorona, llorona de un campo lirio. Ay de mí, llorona, llorona de un campo lirio. El que no sabe de amores, llorona, no sabe lo que es martirio. El que no sabe de amores, llorona, no sabe lo que es martirio. 2 besos llevo en el alma, llorona, que no se apartan de mí. 2 besos llevo en el alma, llorona, que no se apartan de mí. El último de mi madre, llorona, y el primero que te di. El último de mi madre, llorona, y el primero que te di. Ay de mi llorona, llorona, llévame al río. Ay de mi llorona, llorona, llévame al río. Tápame con tu rebozo, llorona, porque me muero de frío. Tápame con tu rebozo, llorona, porque me muero de frío.
We Are Enough by River Fae. It is revolutionary for any trans person to choose to be seen and visible in a world that tells us we should not exist. Laverne Cox. As we bring awareness and affirmation to our transgender friends, family, neighbors, and strangers alike, it's important to remember that transgender, non-binary, and gender non-conforming people are at a greater risk of being assaulted or killed for who they are. This is especially true for Black and Brown transgender, non-binary, and gender non-conforming people. In our society, transgender people are treated as less than everyone else. Less of a man, less of a woman, less of a person. We have been led to believe we have to prove we are enough. Society tells us we must be more masculine, more feminine, or more androgynous to be valid. We are here to tell you we are enough. We are not adjusting who we are to fit society's idea of what a transgender, non-binary, or gender non-conforming person is. We are man enough, we are woman enough, we are human enough. We are enough.
Good morning. Buenos días. My name is River Fae. Mi nombre es River Fae. And my pronouns are they, them, ella. I am facilitator and Bree Fae is co-facilitator of the trans and non-binary group at the First Unitarian Universalist Church of San Antonio. Thank you for joining us. Bienvenidos. I am non-binary and gender fluid. I am birth dad to my wonderful kids, the spouse of a magnificent wife, and the adopted mija to my momo and tata. Earlier in the service, we honored transgender, non-binary, and gender non-conforming victims of violent crime. At this time, some of your friends and neighbors are sharing their lived experiences as transgender and non-binary people. These are their lives, and some of the information shared may be sensitive for some viewers. Take that into consideration, and also understand that these events we live every single day. We don't have the privilege of choosing not to address these topics, so we hope you will take a few moments and listen to what we have to say.
Hi, my name is Allison Bess. I'm a non-binary psychologist. Sometimes I use the pronouns she, her. Sometimes I use the pronouns they, them. I'm not that particular about my pronouns. I first learned about transgender people in an online group for bisexual women over 20 years ago. One of the founders of that group was kicked off another group because she was a trans woman. As I came to know some of the other trans women in that group, I realized it was my life's work to create a world in which gender diversity is welcome. However, it didn't occur to me that there was more to it than that until I came across the term non-binary and realized a few years ago that that might describe my own relationship to my gender. Before, I thought I wasn't trans because I didn't want to change my name or my body or anything like that. I have a body, I have a name, but I don't feel a really strong connection to those things. I'm fascinated with other people's genders the way an agnostic person might study religion. And I love helping people figure out what helps them be themselves the most. I'm still figuring out that for myself, and that's where I'm at.
My name is Danielle Bess. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I wish I could tell you what it's like to grow up trans and LGBT, but I don't. When I was born, I was told that I was a boy. Because I liked girls, I was told that I was straight. So I grew up and lived my life as a straight male. I did the things that a straight male does. I got a job, I had a house, I got married. Until one year when I lost a whole lot of weight and realized that my body was not typical for a straight male. When I wore women's clothing, people called me ma'am. Oh, that made me so happy. Never have I felt happier than the first time I realized they thought that I was a girl. Over the course of that year, I found out other things, like what the word intersex meant, because apparently it's not typical for a straight male to look the way I do without hormones, surgery, or even padding. This is how I was born. This is how I lived my life. Later on that year, I found out that I could change my name and gender markers, that I could go to court and live as a woman. That I wanted so much. Then one day I walked into court, put down my credit card, then $500 later, I was gay. Now my anxiety basically bordered down to one of two things: worrying that people are going to find out and judge me wrong, or, and this is the biggest one, bathrooms. That some cisgender woman is going to decide that I am a problem and cause me problems in the bathroom. I just want to live my life. I don't want anything special. I just want you to treat me the way I present, which is a woman. That would make me happy.
Hello, my name is Gina Del Rio. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm currently serving as the president of the San Antonio Gender Association, our gender diverse support group. Thank you for joining us while we mourn and cherish our transgender and gender diverse siblings who have been lost due to violence. Being a male passing and white passing transmasculine individual, I'm the least vulnerable to systems of oppression or violence. In discussing these systems, my thoughts turn to our trans youths, and especially our trans youths of color. During work with Fiesta Youth, a support group for LGBTQ youths, we bear witness to their struggles every day. They are bullied by their peers, purported friends, and when they turn to their school administrations for protection, they are bullied by those adults too. They question if they should continue to advocate for themselves. These young people can lose hope. When they come to our meetings, they flourish. I see them bring us art projects, books, poetry, music, the full array of beautiful passions. They bring us their successes. They bring us their challenges. They explore identities of their own and affirm one another's journeys unconditionally. When they are free from fear, they are kind. When they are free from fear, they love themselves. As a society, we are judged by how we treat our most vulnerable members of our community. We have the greatest responsibility to protect those who have no choice but to be dependent on us. Please, take a minute to write your school boards and ask them to protect our trans children. We can create these spaces together. Let them know our children deserve to live lives free of fear, ones where they are permitted to not just exist as their most authentic selves, but to flourish. Thank you.
My name is Bree. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I have known since the age of 9 that I was a girl, and I believed that I could do nothing about it. At the age of 23, I publicly started living full-time as a woman. Several years later, I was charged with a crime and sentenced to prison. The Texas Department of Criminal Justice decided that since I was assigned male at birth, I couldn't go to a unit for women. And that's where this story starts. This is the first time I talk openly and publicly about the sexual assault and dehumanization I suffered while in the custody of TDCJ. They started by taking away my identity. First, they shaved off all my hair. I had my nails done, so I had to cut them off or they would be forcefully removed. I was strip searched several times, including in a parking lot, in front of male inmates and in front of male guards. I was sexually assaulted the day I arrived at my last unit. I was given the chance to shower after being strip searched again. I was given a towel, male boxers, and an inmate uniform. I didn't know that someone had followed me into the shower. He forced himself on me. What came afterwards was worse. I reported the assault to a corrections officer, and he placed me in the same cell as the man who assaulted me. Afterwards, I was handcuffed and placed in a room alone before I was taken to medical. They asked me what I did to bring this upon myself. A few hours later, a member of the state police said that they knew who did it, but there was nothing they could do about it. I will never forget that he told me I was an accident looking for a place to happen. He and officer said that I needed to learn to fight, put out, or find a husband. I was not offered any kind of mental health care, and I wasn't allowed to know the inmate's HIV status. I found a well-respected inmate, and I became his wife for the duration of my sentence. To this day, there are days and nights that I relive the event in full detail, down to the sounds and smells of the unit. Please remember that no one ever asks for this. The survivor is not to blame, and it takes courage to come forward.
For today's reflection and benediction, I'd like to remind us that we stand for inclusion and diversity and a wholeness that is comprised of many and varied persons, all of them important, all different, all needed. May we become more as one, especially in our service to each other and to our wider community of humanity and to all residents of our earthly home. Let religion be, for us, about relationship, about connections, about collaboration, about acting together in a covenant of promises we make and sometimes break, yet can restore through humbly admitting our faults and shortcomings and the giving and receiving of forgiveness, and performing human acts of kindness and loving charity. Let religion be about serving what is true and right, and about the wonder of that which each of us knows only in part and understands only in part. May we grow wholeness in our connections, our understanding and wisdom, and carry within us, in our hearts, each other, and the bonds we share in beloved community. We have been treated to our first service of transgender awareness and affirmation. I make a deep bow of thanks to each one who contributed from their hearts and lives to this worship service. Let us go forward from here to create a more egalitarian world with greater understanding of gender identities and expressions, a curiosity about the spectrum of biological sexes, and to live and make a difference in a multicultural, multilingual, and multifaceted world. May we move forward together in co-creating a loving and empathetic response to what we have witnessed and celebrated today by asking, what is needed next? And then doing it. After the postlude by Jaime, you're invited to join our board at the Zoom link for our monthly listening session. I hope to see you there. Shalom, and blessed be.